Greetings, people of the tube, YouTube. Welcome. Welcome to Nerd in a Crazy World. So, as I said yesterday, I'll be continuing the series today with a very brief guide to purchasing motherboards and hard drives. So, the aim of this particular episode will be to basically provide basic information about what to buy, what motherboards and what hard drives to buy, and how much to pay for them to users, so no one at all is subjected to forking out excess money while purchasing them. So hope you guys actually learned a lot of stuff from this video and the previous videos, and if you haven't shared them yet, please share all the videos to everyone you know and to everyone around the world, so basically everyone gets to learn something, a thing or two about purchasing these things. So enjoy, guys. Okay guys, so starting the screen capture, I will start the ones for motherboard first. Okay, for motherboards there are several things to consider when choosing one. Firstly is the number of USB ports. Now the number of USB ports does not is not only how many ports there are, but how many ports it actually use. Of course, the more USB ports available, the more expensive. Okay, so consider that as well. Secondly, you have USB version 2.0, 3.0. At this point of time, I will highly recommend 3.0, but keep in mind that if you have devices at home, for example an external hard drive which can only support USB 2.0, then it's redundant to buy a motherboard that supports USB 3.0, although you can buy for future use and stuff. So that is determined by the hardware you have at home as well. However, I would highly recommend the USB 3.0 one. Okay, and just to add to that, there are some motherboards that come with a mixture of USB 3.0 ports and 2.0 ports, so that's another good option to go for a bit of cost savings. Okay, next one will be your chipset. This one is basically whether it uses an Intel or AMD chipset, so please refer to the videos about processors that I posted up yesterday, and you can relate this one with that one, so you can decide whether you want to go AMD or Intel, so that determines this one. Okay, your RAM supported. If you look back at yesterday's video, which you can view by clicking right above, there are different types of RAM. I mean, there are basically two types, DDR2, DDR3, but within each type there are also several frequencies. For example, DDR2 800, DDR3 1333, DDR3 1066, DDR2 1066, and so on. So basically, if I have a motherboard that's only compatible with DDR2 800 and the computer is getting as slow as anything, so of course I would want to upgrade the RAM, and but if I try upgrading to DDR3, it would not work because the motherboard simply does not support the RAM. So the only option I have is to add another stick of DDR2 800 RAM. That's one I also want to bring up in this same point. Under RAM supported, the number of RAM slots available on the motherboard itself. So of course, the more RAM slots the better, because it gives you freedom to add RAM whenever needed or whenever required. So 2 points here to be taken: the more RAM slots the better, and to look out for the compatible RAM frequencies that the motherboard uses. Next, we go on to the number of PCI slots. PCI slots are basically, for example, in the future if you want to add in a graphic card, external one of course, external graphic card, a Wi-Fi card, and other peripherals as such, PCI slots come in very well, because all new peripheral hardware use PCI interfaces to actually be connected to the motherboard. So I highly recommend for more PCI slots. However, if you're on a budget and you just plan to use the PC for basic uses, 2 PCI slots is fine. Just to get a bit of future upgradability and cost balancing, I'll recommend 2. However, there are other high-end ones with 3, 4, but that's fine. We're talking about on a budget right here. So next is built-in GPU. Okay, if you see, for example, Some computer systems have an external graphics card and a built-in graphics card on the motherboard itself. Some don't, so it depends what you want to use it for. Of course, the ones with built-in will be more expensive, the ones without won't be as expensive. So if you want to use the computer for gaming and video editing perhaps, and high definition movies, you can get the ones with, because it will slightly improve the performance. But if you just want to use for surfing the web, watching YouTube videos, it's not necessary to get a one with a built-in GPU. Okay, last one is size. Okay, if you want to build a very small system, you can get a micro ATX sized motherboard. This one is basically used for, if you want to, like I said before, if you want to build a very small system, a very neat one, doesn't take much space, buy a micro ATX motherboard. And if you want to build a full tower, then you can buy a ATX sized one, which is a full size motherboard. So again, depends on the use. If you just want to surf and all, you can buy either one, but keep in mind that a micro ATX will be slightly more expensive, but not significantly more, so keep that in mind as well. Okay, now we'll go to the brands of the motherboards available, the commonly used ones: MSI, Asus, Gigabyte, EVGA, Sapphire, Intel, and Zotac. These are quite very reputable brands. Okay, and each have their own gaming and high performance motherboards, and the normal motherboards as well. The normal ones are pretty good as well, so if you're on a budget, I suggest you go for the normal ones. Okay, now we'll go to hard drives. So for hard drives, well, before purchasing them, several things you will want to consider a brand. Okay, for brand of hard drives, there's not much distinction between the brands. All the most significant difference you'll see is the warranty of it, which differentiates the brands. But in terms of general usability itself, what I feel, my personal opinion, is that all hard drives perform the same. It's just basically how you treat them. Of course, there are certain brands that are slightly better because of the manufacturing process used and stuff, so we'll discuss about that in the next slide. Rotation speed. Okay, so for laptops we have 5400 RPM hard drives, and not very commonly used in laptops are 7200. Those are in desktops. So 5400, a bit slow, but suitable for regular use like surfing the web and watching movies, maybe that sort of thing. If you are into high performance stuff like video rendering and video editing and gaming, I strongly suggest you go for something with an RPM of 7200 and above. For example, there are certain hard drives out there which I'll discuss in the next slide, which are very famous for these speeds. Okay, for interface, PETA or SATA. So PETA is the older interface, which uses ribbon cables and are slightly slower than SATA, which is the new ones that use thinner cables and they're slightly smaller. So they also play a part not only in speed but in ensuring that your system looks nice. Okay, so size, capacity, I'm sure you guys know 256 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes, 4 terabytes. Of course, the more expensive, so please determine what you need before you actually buy, because if you buy 500 gigabytes and it's too small, you end up buying 500 gigabytes more. Not only does it not logical, because a 1 terabyte would probably cost cheaper than two 500 gigabytes, but it would also take space in your casing and might not look as nice, so think about that one first. Physical size, 3.5 inch versus 2.5 inch. Just by looking at it, of course 3.5 inch will be a bit bigger, and a 3.5 one is normally used in desktops, and a 2.5 inch is normally used in laptops. However, if you want to build a very small system, a desktop, you could use a 2.5 inch, but be prepared to pay slightly more. So consider that as well. Physical state versus solid state. Now this one, if you're on a budget, please stick to physical state. At this point of time, solid state is extremely attractive, but is also very expensive. For example, if you compare a physical hard drive, as in a HDD, the price to performance ratio is about, I would say, 50 cents or less to 1 gigabyte. For a solid state is more than $1 per gigabyte. It's about $1.50 or $2 per gigabyte, which is extremely expensive. Although solid states are extremely fast because they do not actually have any mechanical movement, whereby a physical one has. So if you're on a budget, just stick to physical, please, I beg you.
Don't do it, Captain.
Okay, sharing requirements. Have you guys heard of NAS? Network Attached Storage, NAS. Okay, this one is basically used, for example, say you're at home and you have 10 computers, for example, and you have Wi-Fi at home. So you have a localized external hard drive, for example 4 terabyte one, and you have billions of movies in there you want to share, you want to be able to watch anywhere, any device, anytime. So you put all this on a network store and you key in the IP address and you match them to each computer. So you link each computer to this hard drive. So basically the information available in that 4 terabyte monster of an NAS is available to all 10 devices, anytime, anywhere, any place. So that's the great thing about owning an NAS. Now we'll go to commonly purchased hard drive brands. Western Digital, Seagate, Hitachi, Toshiba, Maxtor and Samsung. As I said before in the first slide, previous one, which is this one, the only difference between each of these brands is the warranty provided. If I'm not mistaken, Western Digital has 5 years, I think, and Seagate has 3 years, whereby the rest have 2 and 1 year respectively. And Maxtor is owned by Samsung, by the way. So hello again. I hope you guys learned a lot from the previous screen capture just before. Keep in mind all the pointers that I've said earlier. Use this when deciding your budget while building a PC. So to decide what you're going to build and what you're going to use it for and how much you're going to spend on it. So guys, please share this video as well around the globe, and everyone you know as a follow-up of the two previous videos, because it's a linked one obviously to build a whole complete computer system. So thank you guys once again for watching. Don't forget to share. Before I go, live long and prosper.